I mean, they could have dug up the entire city of Davao, but all they have managed to bruise the prosecution on the matter is a reference to Leila de Lima in a Senate committee where she talks about the discovery of a few human remains which could have belonged to World War II Japanese soldiers. The same goes for another witness's outlandish assertion that bodies were thrown into the sea off the coast of Davao. Well, the whole Gulf could have been dredged, but not one executed corpse has surfaced. As for counts 2 and 3, Ms. Croft showed us some maps with coloured dots to indicate the magnitude and geographical spread of what the prosecution alleges, without, of course, proving that they were extrajudicial killings not countenanced within the 49 incidents. Indeed, for this reason, there is nothing to link the charged incidents, those 49 incidents, to the wider picture. According to the appeals chamber, which confirmed a pre-trial chamber ruling on the matter in Bagbo, filing number 432 in the case record at paragraphs 35 to 36, any factual allegations outside the charged incidents, in this case masses of generically alleged extrajudicial killings, must be proved to the required standard. And for this, NGO reports, academic statistics, and media articles are, as a rule, considered insufficient. Ms. Croft also screened images taken from the Duterte administration's PDEA report for the years 2016 to 2019, if we can pull that up now, which cite figures of the number of deaths of drug personalities in anti-drug operations without proving that they were illegally murdered, but she neglected to contextualize these numbers by reference to other parts of the same report which show that in comparison to the number of arrests and operations conducted, the number of deaths are minimal. Please, if you will, show a bar chart that we have helpfully prepared with the figures and a pie chart with the percentages. So, if I may just conclude, the only thing that is widespread here, or rather spread wide, is the utility of the prosecution's statistics. Now, turning to the civilian population, or the target of the attack, let me say straight away that the prosecution case theory, with respect to the definition of the targeted population, is, to put it extremely politely, muddled. In layman's terms, the prosecution has hedged its bets by presenting two alternative propositions, hoping that this pre-trial chamber will settle for one of them. From paragraph 17 to paragraph 20, inclusive of its document containing the charges, the prosecution argues that Mr. Duterte launched an attack on the entire population of the Philippines, pursuant to a policy to neutralize persons perceived or alleged to be engaged in crime. In paragraph 21, however, this so-called attack is directed not against the civilian population at large, the whole population, but rather against a considerably smaller and nebulous margin of society, namely the alleged criminals themselves. Let us start by dealing with the first scenario, namely that the former president, whose loyalty and love for his country is and has always been beyond question, launched a wholesale attack on the whole population of the Philippines, on the entirety of his nation, including the very same people who put him into power. Such a suggestion is not just incomprehensible, it is quite bizarre. The reason for this rather strange assertion, so I submit, is grounded in the prosecution's latest brainstorm on the matter, which it set out last year in a brief appealing a decision of this very same pre-trial chamber in the El Hishri case. And I do apologize in advance for the rather dull exposé which will follow, but I do find it instructive to illustrate the chameleon-like nature of the prosecution's case theory. In this instance, Your Honours found that the civilian population attacked by El Hishri comprised prison detainees professing a certain political ideology. In so doing, Your Honours declined to issue an arrest warrant for El Hishri, where the victims of his crimes had been detained for totally unconnected and non-political reasons. Now, you might ask yourselves, why did the prosecution decide to appeal this decision? It was not as if it had been denied the arrest warrant for El Hishri that it had sought. Well, a key to the answer, so I believe, is to be found in the chronology of the events. On 10 February 2025, the prosecution rushed out its application for Mr. Duterte's arrest, believing that a unique opportunity to apprehend him had arisen. In this application, the prosecution defined the attack perpetrated by Mr. Rodrigo Duterte as being aimed at the entire population of the Philippines. Let us now fast forward to 10th July 2025. The pre-trial chamber, this same pre-trial chamber, ordered the arrest of Khalid al-Hishri for an attack on an objectively identifiable civilian population of detainees, while finding no justification to suspect him of crimes committed against a discrete subsector of that population, exhibiting characteristics distinct from those of the general population. Well, as you can guess, the prosecution didn't like that decision and hastened to appeal it. Not, I would suggest, out of any true concern for the purity of international humanitarian law, but rather because it put a spanner into the works of the Duterte case. That is, the only other active case that it is prosecuting before this court. After all, if we apply the resulting logic of Your Honour's decision in El Hishri to the prosecution's case theory in the Duterte case, at least as it stood as of 10 July 2025, then alleged drug pushers and alleged criminals would be deemed a separate, subjectively defined subgroup of the general Filipino civilian population, displaying different characteristics and, as a result, excluded as targets of the attack.